Welcome to the Dreamers Hub podcast. This podcast is about collaboration between the dreamers and the doers to inspire more people to do more of the things that they enjoy doing. This hub is focused on providing you the kick in the ass you need to jumpstart your dreams. So if you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing. Yo, welcome back to the Dreamers Hub podcast. I am your host, Nettie, and I have my co-host today.
What up? I'm Jasper.
So we up in this thing. We out here recording. We're out in Vegas recording this episode. And this one specifically is about self-leadership. Now, we came up on this topic while we were creating stuff, right? And we were conversating and stuff.
Yeah. And
we were talking about how the timing has aligned for us on both of our journeys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to touch on this because I feel like this is the type of thing that people need to really initiate growth and really like kickstart their journey to take action to do something. And so we were talking about like where we're at right now. Like mentally, we're like in it, right? We're just like, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to make that. Like we were just about it. We spent 8 hours today creating stuff.
And you know what's crazy about that is that like it just naturally happened. We both just like hopped in it and we were.
Yeah, we woke up early,
happen.
up super early at like 8 a.m. Had coffee, came straight upstairs and started
grinding away.
Before we knew it, we were already like, oh shit, we should probably eat.
Yeah.
But we wanted to touch on the leadership aspect because I really do think that you do have to have that within you to really try to get to wherever you're trying to go. I think if you don't have that, it makes it hard. You do have to find it somehow.
Would you say leadership has something to do with drive?
I don't know, maybe.
Because if you don't have the drive, how can you be a leader?
But do you have, like, what are you trying to, like, I guess what's your why? Like, are you really passionate about that thing that you're trying to do? Because if you aren't passionate, you probably wouldn't have the drive.
Then you wouldn't take the lead.
It's all interconnected.
Everything's connected.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, so how did you take the lead? So I took the lead after you took the lead.
Okay, so I wait, was this pre-pandemic?
Yeah, like when you first started.
Because I feel like I had to lead myself again after the pandemic.
Oh, okay. So pre-pandemic, when you first started YouTube, when you took that lead,
yeah,
then I was like, all right, I'm going to take the lead for me too, because I saw you do it.
Okay. How I took the lead.
Yeah.
I sat on it for 2 years, and I realized that I had people around me that really enjoyed what they enjoyed doing, like what they did for a living, right? What I do for a living, one, does not define me because that's just a paycheck to me, right?
That's not your label identity.
No, it's not my identity. Yeah. So that aspect of my life is like, okay, that takes care of my finances. And to some extent, that brings you some kind of happiness and some kind of stability to mentally really like figure out what you really want to do or what you're passionate about. That's how I feel about it. So because I know that that is its own thing, right? It's not connected to me. It took me about 2 years to realize what I really wanted to do, what was constantly in the back of my mind. Like, damn, I really want to do this. I really want to create content. I really want to like inspire people to do things. Like I've always wanted to do it. Fucking was it 2014, 2015 when I did Wax Fit Co. Yeah. That was the peak of it, right? Yeah. I didn't really know like I wanted apparel and I wanted apparel simply to like motivate people. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to motivate people. It wasn't the right timing at that moment. And I knew that because the amount of stress it was creating me, and I wasn't happy about it, and I wasn't like full send on it because it was creating a lot more internal issues that I had with myself before, like, to really enjoy it. You know, fast forward till now with the timing and kind of where I'm at. Those 2 years that I sat on the YouTubes, I was like, fuck, this has been itching at me for the last like 2 years, right? And so then I found podcasting, and podcasting was like amazing because it's what I like to do. It's conversating, and that like kind of triggered the inspirational aspect of it. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to inspire people. This is how I can do it. Fast forward till now, I'm like creating merch for it, right?
Yeah. Collabing
and meeting people and doing that. But I don't like that. My thing is, what I'm trying to get at is with the alignment of the timing and kind of me sitting on it and like really deep diving and like digging within myself as far as like what I'm actually passionate about, I would not have been able to take that leap to be able to start. And of course I went through like my hurdles of like, fuck, what are people going to say? What are my friends going to say? They're probably going to talk shit to me, Yeah. And sure, my friends are going to talk shit to me because we gas each other. We light each other's ass up. Like, that's what we do. If you don't have those friends, then you probably have the wrong friends. Like, to some extent, you talk to you and your friends talk shit to each other because that's a level of like fun and like y'all at the deep end respect each other. Yeah. And it's gotten to that point where my friends like, appreciate what I'm doing and they like what I'm doing, and they support it. And so the thing is, it wasn't until I actually took it serious and I actually started doing the action behind it really was what was self-motivating. And as soon as I started like putting out content and I started getting feedback, it was almost like
the extra push to keep going.
Yeah. And that like drove me to continue doing like this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I love doing this stuff. I love it. It's so fun for me. Like, I just love it.
And I think that's what's like very contagious because you started doing it and people can genuinely see that you have great passion for doing this. So when you led, that's why I jumped in because I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, so let's go to you. Why did you feel like?
Yeah, it's kind of like going back to kind of similar to your story about like wanting to start YouTube. But I've been wanting to start YouTube for a while. Like I have. Back when I was in college, I was uploading like the art school kid kind of life. And like a daily vlog thing. But then I took it down because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I've tried it a couple of times, but I guess it goes back, maybe the timing just wasn't right.
Yeah, I think the timing has a lot to do with it.
But then like, if you think about it, if you stuck with it, I don't know, things might not be the same. I don't know. But yeah, like I've tried it, deleted it. Actually, I don't remember if I deleted those videos. But anyway,
those videos are out there.
They're probably out there somewhere. But yeah, so then life happens too. Sometimes life just happens and you just get detoured and you just can't get back into it, right?
Oh, see, that's a whole nother topic on itself.
Yeah.
At what point do you stop and actually take time for yourself? Because I really do believe that people do need time for themselves to like really figure out what they want to do in life. Some people have it figured out from the get. Some people...
Those are very lucky people.
Yeah. Know what they want to do from the get. They want to be a doctor. They want to be a nurse. Like, they know exactly what it is. And I, like, commend those people and look up to those people because I'm like, wow, that's amazing. It took me years to fucking figure it out. You have kids nowadays knowing exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
Not all kids, but some kids know exactly what they want to do. And, like, they live up to that. Like...
And I mean, I think back when we were younger, it's not like we're going to grow up like, we want to be content creators. That was not a fucking thing.
100%.
You know, for me, it took the pandemic to happen for me to like really sit and be more aware of what's like everything kind of just like hit me in the face.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing with my life? And I'm pretty sure a lot of people go through this. And so this is why I think a lot of people are taking the lead to make something of themselves because of the pandemic. Because again, we don't know how long this is going to last for.
Yeah.
And people are now realizing like, hey, we can work from home. Or you wake up to what I'm doing or what I have been doing doesn't bring me joy. It's not working anymore. So it's like that wake up call is like, hey, go find what you truly love to do.
Yeah. So 2 things with that, which I think that's a very valid point, is I think this pandemic has put people in a place where they have to sit with their thoughts and really figure it out.
Yeah.
And the other thing, it's also put people in positions where they have to make it work no matter what. Some people haven't been lucky enough to maintain their jobs.
Yeah.
And now they're like trying, like, it's like do or die. Like you're in it, like you have to figure it out no matter what. Like, so I think the amount of like being up against the wall really puts pressure on people. And also given the time, Because most lives are, what do you do for work? And like, I am my work for most people.
Yeah.
And so most people live such a fast paced life. They never really figure out, nor do they get the time to figure out what they want to do, what they really enjoy doing. And so I think that's one of the things that this pandemic has allowed. And I think that being up against the wall has also allowed, like, applied pressure.
It gives you the push to take lead of your own life, like leadership of your own life.
Yeah. And that's where the leadership has really come in, because it's one of those two things. You're just like, oh my God, I just had an epiphany. This is what I love to do. I'm going to fucking go do it, right?
Yeah.
And then you have, holy shit, how am I going to pay for my rent? How am I going to pay for my mortgage? How am I going to pay for my car, my insurance, my cell phone bill, all this shit.
Also, I think pandemic too, the people that had to step away from their jobs, maybe because sometimes it's like relationships. When you step away, you realize like that shit was not working.
Yeah.
I got to do something else.
Yeah.
And that kicks in with what you say about pressure too. That kicks in the drive of like, I need to get it the fuck together and figure out what I do want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, for sure.
In a way, not a lot of people might see it this way, but the pandemic is like you're giving a second chance at life.
Damn, dude, that was fucking deep.
Got deep real quick.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you say so? It's a second chance at life.
No, yeah. I absolutely love, like, I've seen so many of my friends like start new shit, do new shit, like actually do things like, and it's not even just like content creation or making, but like you're talking about small businesses, you're talking about taking on fitness, eating healthier, like actually caring about themselves. Like, you should love yourself enough to, care for your body. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people eating right, just basic shit.
Yeah, the basics.
That you throw out the window the minute fast-paced life comes back into life.
Because jobs are so demanding and they don't really care about you.
No, the fuck they don't. They really don't.
Yeah,
it's really up to you to, like, navigate your world, like your own world. Everybody's world is different.
Yeah.
Right? And I really think that you really do have to make the time. You have to be able to prioritize your time and figure out like what's important to you and what do you prioritize and what's going to bring you the most value out of what you do. Does working out make you feel better in the morning to like give you that energy to do the, the, what do you call it? Like responsibilities, I guess, that you have throughout the day. There's always going to be shit that you're not going to want to do that is just admin. Admin shit.
And I think that's the thing too. A lot of people end up on autopilot because they've been at their job for so long. You forget how to live.
Yeah. Ooh, fuck. You know what drives me crazy though?
What?
Is if you've been at your job for so fucking long and you absolutely hate it, why are you still there? This pandemic has given people enough opportunity and options. Some people, not all people, but again, to sit with yourself and like figure out what you want to do with life. At the end of the day, you can get a paycheck somewhere.
Anywhere. Jobs are always going to be there.
Somewhere, yeah. So why do you choose to stay where you're unhappy? And on top of that, make the people around you unhappy?
Ooh, that spills over. But that's also if you're stagnant for so long, are you even growing?
Do you care about growing?
I care about growing.
I know, me too. But that's just because we're us. But I think some people don't care about it.
That's true.
People don't care about personal growth.
Because they don't even realize it.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like the pandemic happened. We all needed a fucking wake-up call.
I know, it did. And I really do. I think it's like a blessing in disguise. It's unfortunate that so many people like passed and it's been, mishandled or whatever. But
that in itself, like, I'm sorry for people that have lost people, but that in itself should make you want to make your life count and like live your life to the fullest, because tomorrow's not promised, like they always say.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And if we're gonna go out, like say, because like Gary Vee says this too, like if tomorrow you get in a car accident and you die, what the fuck have you been doing the past couple of years? Are you gonna be happy leaving the world like that?
And what's your imprint on life? Do you think about that?
I think about that shit all the time. Like, what's my life purpose?
Yeah.
But with my recent conversation it's always changing. And I think that's part of it too. Like, we take lead. And I think maybe for a while, I don't know if you can relate to this, because we are taking leadership, but for so long we didn't, is because we were taught to be like, go to school, be this, and this is your job, the end. And then, how, I don't know, a couple of years ago, it became like, people are like, what's that called?
Nomads.
Like, yeah, like multifaceted. And then it's like people at first, they shame you because they're like, you can't stick to one job. You can't stick to one career. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But now it's like, fucking embrace that shit because we can do everything.
Yeah. That's true, though.
Yeah.
You bring up, like, basically people unhinging from traditional life.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other topic in itself, too. But
yeah.
Unhinging from what you've been taught your whole life is probably the hardest thing. And I think that might be the reason why a lot of people don't take self-leadership. Don't take that leadership within themselves to like really push for the shit that they want, because they know that they're going to get pushback from parents, siblings, or whatever.
It's always family.
It is always family.
Yeah.
So, well, not always, but sometimes, yeah.
Most time
it's family. You're worried about what your family's going to think about you or say about you. And like what you hear so far, make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show. You know what's crazy? I don't think I've told you this, but there was a time period when I started wax. I wanted to quit my job. I was ready to like let it all go, right?
I'm surprised you didn't.
I was ready to quit my job, and I had told my boss. I gave my letter of resignation, and he's like, shit. What the fuck is this? I had met at my job. I had met somebody that said he had a screen printing shop.
Oh, fuck.
And I, set him up with his phones and all that shit, right? And he told me, if you ever want to come by the shop, like, let me know, like, I'll teach you or whatever. Like, I'll take you under your wing. This is just like me having conversation about the shit I want to do, right?
And those are fucking signs, dude.
It's weird, right? Okay, so then that happened. He gives me his business card, and I just hit him up, and I was like, hey, like, I'm not working today. Do you mind if I come to the shop and, like, check it out? He's like, yeah, sure. I go, like, literally shows me, like, a bunch of stuff. He's like, whenever you want to come back, let me know. And I was like, okay, cool. And then from there, he hit me up, like, later, like, maybe, like, a month later, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for somebody to, like, work for me or, like, help me out at the shop.
Fuck.
This is where I'm like, this is a sign. This is a sign. I'm going to fucking go for it.
Yeah. Because
that's how I am. I'm like, I'm scared, but I'm going to still do it. Like.
And that's an awesome way to live, honestly.
I'm scared, but I'm going to still do it, like, no matter what. And so I had told my mom at that time. And, I mean, my job pays me well or whatever, you know? Like, it wasn't anything where it was just, like, I knew I was going to get paid a grip. Like, I knew I was going to take a down-ass, like, big paycheck cut, and I was going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I was willing to put myself through that, because I wanted to learn so bad about screen printing. Like, I really wanted to do that. And so I go back to, like, giving my letter of resignation. I gave my letter of resignation to my boss at that time. And he was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, no, you can't quit. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, hold on. Let me talk to Mike, which was our district manager. Yeah. And he was like, we're going to work something out. Like, you can't quit. And then he's like, okay, how about you go part-time? Test it out. I went part-time. I tested it out. I was working at that print shop from 6 a.m. to 3:30. And then I would go work part-time from 4 to 9:30. Oh, and I would do it again and again and again.
Did you love it, though?
I learned so much from that man. Like, I learned so much. I don't know if I loved it, the process of it, because it was a lot. There was a lot to learn. Yeah. But it taught me so much about, like, I guess, like, labor. I've never done labor like that.
Actual hands-on labor.
Hands-on labor like that. Because I don't know if most people know that, but screen printing is a lot of labor to do.
Unless you got a bunch of money and do automated
stuff. So it does take a lot. But I was so ready and willing. And I remember my mom begging me not to quit. Please don't quit. Please don't quit. Like, this is a really good job. Like, it has benefits, blah, 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 right? Yeah. Because she was so used to, like, a tradition. Like, she's older, obviously. And, like, you grow up learning, like, just get a good job, have a family, buy a house, like,
the checklist.
Survive. Survive. And so she was so stressed out about that. And I'll never forget. She was, like, begging me not to quit. And I didn't end up quitting, and I eventually ended up going back. So I did that for, like, I don't know, 4 to 6 months maybe. Okay. So I did that Monday through Friday thing like that.
Well, then let me ask you now. Are you happy now?
Yeah. I'm glad I did it. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of patience, too. And my work now teaches me a lot of patience, too. But It was one of those moments where it was like, I don't know. I honestly, I think it was a universe. It wanted to give me time to figure out that was going to be the thing that I was going to be doing.
And I think everything happens for a reason, and you went through it. Like, you did really well with wax, I remember. But maybe that was just a stepping stone of like pushing, like knowing your limits, and you can take lead on something. But you needed a couple of years to get you to where you are now, because with this conversation, you were going back to like you wanted to spread that awareness and positivity, and the only way you can do that is what you're doing now. Yes, we can do it through apparel, but your t-shirts can't talk to people.
Dude, yeah, for sure.
So it led you to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. I think if I wouldn't have done that, and I don't think I would know as much as I know about apparel and like, you know, the shit that you do.
Yeah.
For your living, like this is what you do, you know, and without the screen printing portion, but it's still a lot. It's a lot of work to fucking do. And I think having that knowledge base, because again, working at that print shop, like really provided a bunch of knowledge that it's like invaluable at this point, because like you can't just like, it's 6 months of work, you know, 4 to 6 months of work and just knowledge given to you day in, day in, day out. And it's just insane like that was it. But yeah, that was a big moment for me. Like, and that was one of the things that like, I'll never forget my mom telling me, like begging me not to quit, because she was so worried about how I'm going to survive in this world.
I think a lot of parents do focus in on that, but I feel this is going to be a whole other topic, but I think parents do focus in on that to the point that sometimes they forget what truly makes their child happy.
Yeah, because they push the traditions on you.
Mm-hmm.
And by nature, most people are, you know, pushing that same tradition. There's certain traditions that obviously you'll keep.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And your values and your morals, obviously. But yeah, when it comes to that kind of stuff, it's kind of rough. And I think that's why a lot of people don't have that self-leadership, because they're scared of that pushback that they're going to get from people. But nowadays, I feel like you can pretty much, I don't know, there's always a way. If you have the will, you will find a way.
If you truly have passion and ambition towards it, you will always figure it out.
Yeah.
Things will always also work itself out too.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if it's meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to work. Just like you took leadership to start your podcast, YouTube, and it just all falls into place.
Yeah. And it comes so natural now.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You got to start to get to that point too.
Oh, yeah. See?
It's a learning process. But I think you know when it's different, because when you go through the learning process, and you fall in love with that process, it's like pure enjoyment.
Yeah.
And through the stress, through all that, it's like you oversee that because you fucking love the grind for it.
Yeah.
You love the learning aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I think before anybody were to take some kind of leap like that, and, you know, leadership within themselves like that, they really do have to figure out, like, what are you really passionate about? Do you think you want to do this thing because it looks cool online? Or do you actually really love it? You know what I mean?
But I also think, like, if you're going to spend a lot of time just looking it up, you're not in it.
Well, no, because you can have all the knowledge, but if you don't take action, well, what the fuck? You know, what are you going to do with that knowledge?
That's where the leadership comes in, you know?
Yeah.
Because we can all look shit up, but I think that's where you test your leadership, your drive, and you're truly in it.
Yeah.
Because say you looked all this stuff up, and you're like, well, you wouldn't be here. But you looked at it, you're like, It's a different feeling, right? Yeah. And then you dive in and you're going to Google stuff and you find more stuff and you're like, oh, there's so much stuff. And maybe you did stress out, but you got to the point you're like, you pull the trigger because you're like so involved, and it sparks something and it gets you excited.
Yeah.
Because if you're just looking shit up and you're so involved and you're not excited, it's just not going to work. And
you should probably take that as a sign, I would say. If you're not excited about the thing that you continue researching. Yeah. And if you sit on it for like a long time, then, I mean, at some point, I mean, if you're going to start, and I've said this plenty of times, if you're going to start something, right now is the time to start it. Like, people got time.
Yesterday was the time to start it.
People got time. People got time to give right now. Like, everything's weird right now.
I think, everything is kind of weird, but it's also like dog world right now.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's the perfect time. It's like, it's kind of crazy because you had that story of like the whole screen printing thing and all that stuff happened. And like for me, what I took leadership, like I legit quit my job right before the pandemic happened.
Oh, yes, dude. Let's talk about it because I don't think a lot of people know about that. So let the people know what you were doing and then what you were.
So I got a graphic design job for a menu company, and I created advertising and created a whole ass menu for like restaurants. It was the same thing every day. I was there for 3 years, and I was like, I'm fucking done. I'm not learning shit. Like I was stagnant, and I was falling into that comfort zone, and I was like, I can't do this. Everything's a fucking thing. Mm-hmm. Every day was the same. And I saw my coworker just sitting there, like he's been there way longer than me, and he's way young. He's like 10 years younger than me, and he's like settled into that job. And I was like, I can't live like that.
Wow.
And
so is that what pushed you? I guess what was the moment that you figured out like this ain't it?
I was very unhappy. I was so unhappy. I became negative because my environment was negative.
Yeah.
And then because my environment, people weren't ambitious or motivated to do stuff, and I was always that person. And I noticed, I caught myself, I'm like starting to slip away. Like I had no drive. I had nothing left. And I think when you kickstarted the year with the YouTube stuff, I was like, oh, that's something new. And it sparked that like side of me. And I was like, fuck, okay. And it was crazy because everybody, I realized this recently too, everybody that I've surrounded myself around that time when I was getting ready to quit were all entrepreneurs. And they're like, this is the best fucking thing I ever did. I left my job. I started my own company. Like I went to Red Wings. This is what happened. I went to Red Wings to order this shoe. And then the owner called and we started having a conversation. And then he was just like, he was also like, if you ever want to come talk about starting your own business, like I'm here. It's like the best thing I ever done for myself. Mm-hmm. Who the fuck? Like you don't, the regular conversation. Like
I'm telling you, there's signs.
Yeah,
there's signs out there.
Everywhere.
You gotta pay attention.
And even then at that time, I met another lady too, and she was like, yeah, I left my corporate job of 20 years and I started my own business. Best fucking thing I ever did for myself. I was like, what is going on? And I was so unhappy. I was in therapy. I was unhappy. I even told my therapist, and she was like, yeah, I think you need to leave that job.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. I did go through part-time too. I went through the phase of part-time.
Okay, yeah.
And all I did was only take one day off, Friday. I still worked Monday through Thursday full-time. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when you take a break from something, then you realize a lot of shit. So that break, it only took like a month, which is only what? 4 Fridays I took off.
Yeah.
And that made me realize, I was like, fuck this. I'm out.
Damn.
I was like, this shit is not serving me. I haven't been growing. I've been stagnant for 3 years. I can't do it anymore.
What makes you feel like you need to grow? Because not everybody has that. That's why I asked that. Not everybody feels like, some people aren't even conscious of like growth is necessary.
I think for me, it was just like every day was the same. And I didn't like that. So
when did your eyes like adjust? Because I feel like when people say that everything's the same, like everything's kind of foggy and you kind of just go through the motions.
Yeah, I was on autopilot.
Yeah.
I was just there to collect that fucking stable income.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck. And I was like, oh. But I think it's just, yeah, I think it depends. It's very dependent on people, individuals. Like, if you don't want more, you'll never know that chase. You'll never know. If you don't dream big either.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Then you wouldn't know that chase. You wouldn't want it.
Do you think people put self-limitations so they don't have to reach for, reach out for more?
I think it's also if people end up being content with their life. They're like, this is enough.
That's gross.
Yeah, I know.
That's gross.
Like, yeah, there are people. And look, if you're those people,
don't be offended.
Fine. If it works for you, great. But you know what? That just came to me right now. Maybe because we are constantly searching or doing more is because we haven't found that thing that we're going to be content with for the rest of our lives. Or we're going to just be those people that are constantly never going to be content and continue to thrive off of whatever we choose to do or want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a place in the world for everybody. I think there's, the people that are content with where they're at. Like, there's jobs that appreciate you that like that. because they want you to stay there as long as possible so they don't have to rehire and do all that shit. So I think that there's a place for that. But also, I think it's like really an internal thing too. Like to want to have self-growth, you have to be very aware of yourself and very aware of like what's going on around you and like whether you're happy or not.
And I think it's also how you view yourself, like your self-worth. Because what came to my mind was that a couple years back, I worked for a aftermarket car company, and there's like warehouse workers, and there was this one warehouse worker. He was like, "This is my dream job," and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But that to them is like the fuck. Like he was excited. Like he's like, "This is my dream job," being like a warehouse picker.
See,
person.
but that's different. I think that's somebody that knows what they've been wanting, and they finally got to where they're at, and so that's a different level, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like they're so happy doing that, but to us, we're probably like, "What? That's all you think you're worth? Like, is to be a warehouse worker?" Like, we would probably approach it like, wouldn't you want more out of your life? Wouldn't you want to like level up some more? But like to them, they're completely fucking content and happy. And I'm like, but now I think about like, damn, if I can get to like that kind of place of my life,
yeah,
who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a difference between being content and then being content and happy. Because there's different ceilings. Everybody has a different ceiling.
True.
Right? There's different ceilings. So I think that there's people that are content and miserable, and then they let you know who they are. They let you know that they're not happy.
They're just depressed, and you can feel that vibe.
Yeah. So there's that. And then those people project onto like the happy people. Because they project their energy because they don't know what the fuck they want. But let's say that I wanted to stay in the position that I'm at forever. Like, if I'm
does that
happy,
freak you out saying that right now?
Yeah, a little bit. Because I don't. But
yeah,
that's like, if I wasn't happy, then people would know around me. My job is to lead people. I can't have that energy.
Do you think that plays a part because you are already leading people, so you also need to lead your life for yourself?
I think I've always led my life for myself. And that just trickles into my job.
See, I think that's awesome because there's a lot of people that take their position to their head and they apply it to their regular life, and that's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm grateful that that's like, because I've always kind of led my own journey and my own path. Like, I've always just been able to go and do. Like, that's just how I've been built. Like I told you, I'll do it even though I'm scared. Like, I'm going to do it. And I think that that's taken me places and allowed me to really like get vulnerable and like grow. Yeah. And instead of being safe all the time, I chose those paths. So it gives you like a different experience, and it also gives you like a different perspective on life as to what is possible and what's not possible for yourself.
And that's not saying to people watching this or listening to this to go out and do everything, because
you'll figure it out.
Yeah, you will figure it out. And like, it's funny because as you're saying that, I was like, we met right now because we're at the same path. But you went out and did everything without thinking. I don't want to say you did it without thinking, but you're just like, I'm going to fucking do it. But I'm the calculated one.
Oh, see, I'm not. I'm more like spontaneous in the sense that like, I'm fucking scared. I don't have all the pieces. I don't have all the knowledge.
But you didn't let that hold you back.
I'm going to fucking go. Yeah, I'm going to do it.
But I just wanted to make a point that it's okay, you don't have to be that, because we are now matching the same wavelength and energy and doing the same shit. But I'm the more calculated one. Like, I don't go into things without analyzing it first, if it's a good risk or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's admirable because I can't calculate. I think I'm maybe purposely not that person because it stresses me the fuck out.
Yeah.
To have to think about everything before I make a decision. Now, I'm not irrational.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not saying you're irrational. Yeah.
But it's, I guess, I don't know. I'm not irrational, but I think through majority of things. Most of the time when I say fuck it, I'm gonna still do it, even though I'm scared. It's because I know that I'm scared. I know that it's my fear holding me back. Like, I know that I'm scared because of me. Like, I know that it's me scaring me.
You hold yourself back.
Yeah.
And I do that too. I mean, I do that way more than you. But that's why I'm also trying to adopt like fuck fear in the face, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to not think, turn it off and just do it. But I just wanted to make a point that you leading your own life, whether you take risks and just do it or you calculate it and do it, we all get to where we're at.
Yeah, 100%. And on that note, that was a great episode.
That was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great lead.
Again, this is the Dreamers Hub podcast with Nettie and Jasper, checking out on leadership and self-leadership. Make sure that you're doing your part. Show up for yourself. Yeah, please make sure you leave any feedback, comments. Make sure to like. Wherever you're listening, there's also a video, just so you know. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your guys' time. I appreciate you guys watching this, if you guys are watching this.
And don't forget to pick up merch.
And oh yeah, the merch, by the time this launches, the merch is going to be out. We have other treats on the website, some other goods on there. So please check it out. Please help support the podcast. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Peace. Now hold up. Before we part ways, I want to thank you for listening in. I'd appreciate you helping me inspire others like yourself by simply sharing this podcast with a friend. While you're at it, if you found value in this podcast, I'd love for you to rate it on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to tune in for more inspirational content next week.